All right, I want to welcome you to an updated briefing here in the city of Murfreesboro. It is Thursday, March 26th. We're here in our council chambers. Normally we would be here having a council meeting, but we didn't have business this week to discuss, but I suspect we will be meeting next Thursday night. So I want to give you an update. Really want to keep this timely, have a special guest that I know that many of the residents are going to want to get information from. But to keep you updated, we did put an executive order in place on Monday, the 23rd, declaring an emergency inside the city of Murfreesboro. That emergency or that declaration did put restrictions on in-house dining and also on our gyms and recreational facilities. And happy to say that everyone has done amazing on complying with that. I want to thank our small businesses in the city of Murfreesboro. We've been able to frequent several of those to be able to get food. So this restriction on dining facilities does not have anything to do with takeout, with curbside pickup, or to-go orders. So you still can do that. Recommending to still practice social distancing, do everything that you need to do to stay in with CDC guidelines. I want to also tell our small businesses a great resource that I've found, that if you go to www.chamberof commerce.org/coronavirus-small-business-guide.com. There is some great information on there, especially with the stimulus package that the Senate passed, that the federal government is now taking up on the House side. There's some great information on there for all of our small businesses. City Hall is closed to customers. That doesn't mean that we are not open for business. Our staff have been really pleased. They are doing telework. They are doing meetings through Zoom. You still are able to pull permits. You're still able to call in for inspections. You're still able to get in touch with our finance department. All those essential services inside the city are still open. You can go to our website and get a list of all of the hours on how all of those things are working forward. Our solid waste, so our trash, police, fire are all on their normal schedules. Our trash services have gone from, instead of doing 4 10s, we're now doing 5 8-hour shifts to be able to make sure that we keep up. I still want to ask, especially with our great weather, it's essential for us to be able to pick up our trash inside the city. So we're asking your help that if you don't have to pile your grass up on the street, or you don't have to put brush and those things on the street, please try to wait to do that so our team can focus on picking up trash. Parks and recreation facilities will remain closed at least through the 3rd week of April to be able to coincide with what the governor's request is on schools staying closed. We do have for our citizens, for our employees, we have our emergency pay plan in place. If you have any questions about that, please ask your supervisor or make sure and talk to our human resources department. Testing, I want to update you on testings. We do have 27 confirmed cases in Rutherford County now. That's up from 19 yesterday. I want to make sure and give you some information I have here on explaining the increase in numbers, and this is coming from our health department. An increase in numbers is expected as private laboratories and private providers have increased their capacity to test. Typically, the process goes like this. The doctor gets lab results from the lab, which takes several days. The doctor notifies the patient first, and then electronically or by phone will notify public health officials. This is the normal process for all communicable diseases. This recent increase in numbers was expected and will continue to increase. We can do our part to flatten the curve by following social distancing and staying home when you are sick. We will still follow the public health guidelines at this time by quarantining the family of people with a positive result and taking the individuals who had close contact to a patient during his or her infectious period. That was from Dana Garrett with the health department. So I want to make sure that you know that they're doing everything that they're supposed to do. And I've had a lot of questions about a stay-home order. We've gone over this. We really feel like that as of right now, we don't have the legal authority to be able to put a stay-at-home order in place. That really is going to have to come from the state. Again, if you go back and watch some of my last my last briefing that we had, we're one of the 89 counties that's part of the county health department setup where that's monitored by the state. We're not a municipal or a metro health department, so with that, there's some differing guidelines that we have to follow. But let me stress to say, there's personal responsibility that we all need to take in play, and we do not have to put a stay-at-home order in place for us to be smart. We just need to make sure that if you don't have to get out, if your business is closed down, or your employer is allowing you to work from home, do that. Be smart with your family, and the smarter that we are right now, the better we're going to be a week from now and 2 weeks from now. I want to commend Murfreesboro Medical Clinic in a private-public partnership. We had our police officers, fine police officers who were out there today helping them. They set up a mobile testing site. They tested 48 people today. I talked to Joey or by text a couple of times, and he said it went perfect. There was no runs or panics on going through, so that was in place. They are doing that. You're either referred by the county health department to be able to go to their testing site. Existing Murfreesboro Medical Clinic patients who are referred from their physician to be able to go do that test. So really proud of MMC for Joey and what they did and what they're doing to be able to have that set up. We did get note today that MTSU does have their first confirmed case on campus. That is a student who was on extended spring break, came back, was not feeling well, was tested out of abundance of caution, or was not feeling well out of an abundance of caution. They tested that individual to make sure that they did the COVID test. It did come back positive. Their protocol went into place where the student was immediately quarantined, very similar to what our health department standards that I just read off. They quarantined the individual, made sure that the people that they were in contact knew, and went through their process. So feel very comfortable that Dr. McPhee and his health team have that in place. All right, very important. The governor yesterday or day before yesterday recommended, or really said that schools were not to open up until April the 24th. And so I thought it would be really beneficial to have our leader of our school system, Dr. Linda Gilbert, to come in and explain what that means to the residents, to explain some of the things that they're doing under these special circumstances. I really wanted her to talk about the Chow bus that I know we're all proud of, and really to hear from her on what they're doing, what our teachers are doing, what our administrative staff's doing, and then to answer any questions that you have about the school and our children. So, okay, Dr. Gilbert, the floor is yours.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you very much. Well, before I get started talking about the school system, I do want to give a shout out to you. It seems like it's been a month, I guess, since we began this journey, but I think it was last week, and I do want to note, Mayor, that you did at least 2 personal phone calls you made the first 2 days to make sure that we had everything that we needed. So I really appreciate that. I also want to shout out to Dana Garrett at Rutherford County Health Department. We were very much in touch with each other the first few days to find out exactly what we needed to be doing. So it's been amazing to watch the leadership and the various areas that we have in this city and county that have come together to really help families. And I think that's what we are all about when we talk about the quality of life in Murfreesboro. I think that's what we're about. We are working. Our teachers are working. They're working and keeping distancing, but they're using Zoom and other areas that they're actually planning. And we are starting to switch toward instruction now, and we will be actively involved with that after April the 6th, which will be after our spring break. But we do have the Chow buses rolling. They were rolling on the very first day, and so I want to give a shout out to Sandy Shealy and our nutrition department, because we have 40 sites that are operating all across the city, and they will continue to operate even through spring break. So we are serving both breakfast and lunch every day. We're serving over 1,000 meals a day, And we also have our backpack program that we give on Friday, and that is to make sure that we have enough food to get our families through the weekend. So I think we served about 157 backpacks last Friday, and I'm sure that number will increase. We are taking donations for that particular program. We do not have to have no donations for our Child Bus regular program that operates during the week, because that is funded through a USDA program. But on the weekend, we do have specific things that we are collecting that we put into backpacks, extra food for our children. We want it to be simple so that they can fix it themselves if they need to, if their parents aren't there. And so people can find that information on the City Schools website, www.cityschools.net. And on the front page, when you open it up, it will have donate. And so we are taking funds for the backpack food, and also we're taking food. But in addition to funds for the backpack food, we're taking donations for supplies, because on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're giving out school supplies so our students can be sure that they still have paper and pencil and cards and dice so they can play math games, and we're giving out math games. And then finally, we are giving out books, and we're doing that in partnership with the Murfreesboro Police Department. So last week we gave out 2,500 books, and it's interesting to watch the police officers come into the central office every day, and they've talked to the children, and they know the children because they work with them, thank goodness, every day in our schools. But they will be looking for specific titles for their children for that next day, because when they talk to the children say, well, do you have so-and-so? And so it's interesting to watch police officers that are going through books to make sure that they have the book that that particular child needs. So we're very thankful for our nutrition department, and I want to remind everybody that 18 and under can come to the Child Bus and get food. They do not have to be a resident of Murfreesboro, but through the USDA grant, anyone who's 18 or under, you can go on our website under Home to School, and if you click on that, you will find the listing of the Child Bus. There's sites for every day, and they can come and get their breakfast and their lunch. And again, anyone can do that. So please take advantage of that. We're very committed to serving our children. As you might imagine, during the first week, that really was our concern, and it continues to be our concern, is for our families. What do they have that they can eat? Because what we know is that children cannot learn if they're hungry. And so we feel comfortable now with everyone in the community knowing about the Child Bus, and so we're starting to work on instruction. And there are resources already on the website for families, but you will see a great increase in those resources starting the 6th, starting on the Monday when we come back from spring break. Our teachers have been working, they have been collaborating together, they've been what we call PLCing together, and so they are designing lessons that are not typical lessons, but we want to make sure we're engaging our students, that it's exciting, that it's something that the families can work on, it's something that the children can work on together. And so we'll be rolling that out on the 6th. And so when you get to our website on the 6th, you will see that there will be lessons there for every grade level. There will be lessons that are, and I don't want to use the word lesson, I want to use activities, but there will be activities that will be ongoing activities that families can use, and then there will be grade-specific activities. And what that will look like is accompanying the Child Bus starting on the 6th. We will have packets for children to pick up, but we also will be rolling that out on every website, and we will also have crates at the school, outside the school, that families can come if they need a hard copy, if they do not have internet. But today I was watching, we had actually a math contest going on online today, and we had a reading contest going online too, so it was interesting to see that because that was great. Our counselors and our social workers are working. We have our social workers that are contacting the families that they would normally be meeting with to make sure that they are secure with their homes, that they are secure with food. We also have our counselors that are contacting students that they normally would be working with. Our partnership with Centerstone, we're working on having telehealth with those boys and girls that we would be normally serving. And going back to the books, I forgot about the little libraries. So at every school, we have what's called the little free libraries, and they look like big birdhouses, but our school board is actually replenishing those books every day. So we're trying to keep everything as normal as possible. Again, 1,000 1,000 meals a day, 2,500 books last week, 549, just about 549 backpacks last week, 40 sites. So it's important for us to communicate with our families. If there are any questions that are out there, please feel free to call the City Schools office, 615-893-2313. We do have someone answering the phone all day, or go to our website, and there's an icon on there called Ask MCS, and then, of course, we have our Facebook page and our Twitter. So we are here to serve people. We're here to work with our communities. Today, we had a phone call from one of our hospitals that needed something from us, and we were able to provide that. So, again, thanking the community, thanking our principals, our teachers that are working so hard, our custodial staff that are they're cleaning every nook and cranny, our nutrition staff, our technology that's working to make sure that we have as much access as we can possibly give to our students. Our human resources department continues to work and to hire really the best people in the world. And so if you just look at every department in the city schools, they are doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, and they're doing it because of the families of Murfreesboro. So thank you, community, for your support.
And so, even though we've had spring break, I think it's important for all of us to understand our teachers and our staff, I know the hours that you've been putting in, so it's not been a vacation.
No, it hasn't been. But I'll tell you what, there's real joy with it, Mayor, because what we're seeing is we're seeing teachers that are hungry to come together and to plan for students, and we're having to say, you can do it, but it has to be remotely. We're seeing students that are engaging with teachers. We're seeing teachers that are making phone calls. We're seeing them that are calling. I had a principal that called me the other day and said, I can't get in touch with 30 of my students. Can I just go to their house and knock on the door? And so that caring that just is so pervasive, it really shows up at this time, and that's meaningful.
Yeah, and I was proud. I was on Greenland the other day, and I was following the chow bus, and I just sort of whipped in, and I had the chow bus I was amazed at how many kids were coming out of the apartment that were getting their food, and then Skylar Harris, one of our police officers,
right.
She's an SRO, she was there along, high-fiving the kids.
Right.
And, I think that's something that's extremely important, that although we understand what's going on right now, not necessarily all the kids understand
That's
what's
right.
going on. And
That's
so
right.
it's important to be able to try to make sure that we know the gravity of the situation, but also that we're not stealing the innocence from our kids,
Right.
that, a 7-year-old doesn't understand sort of what's going on with the COVID virus.
And we have on our website, if they'll go to that homeschool page, we do have some help with how to talk to your children about it, and to try to keep as calm, as normal as we possibly can for our children. We talk about the whole child, as you know, all the time, and I think this is one of those times where we really see evidence of that importance of really working with the whole child. And I just appreciate our school board and our council for supporting that, because it makes a difference. When you can hit the ground running on that first day, and when you have other districts that are looking at you to see what you're doing and try to get help, and that's not what's important, but the fact that we're able to serve our children that first day of this made a difference, and that our teachers were coming together and were hungry to have that collegiality that they have. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. Well, all right, so we have a question on how do you donate backpacks?
Okay. If they want to just call me at the City Schools office, I'll be happy to talk with them about that. Just 615-893-2313, or just linda.gilbert@cityschools.net.
Okay.
And we'll be happy to talk with them about that.
You can also email me, smcfarland@murfreesborotn.gov. I'm going to make sure and push this information out that we need help with donations
Right.
for the program, so I'll make sure and get that. We have a question. Will students have to make up this time? How will they advance to the next grades with the lost time? I know that's something we've gotten a lot of questions about.
Okay, sure. Well, it's interesting because we're having webinars with the Commissioner of Education on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but no, they will not have to make up this time. And there's a lot of discussion about how will grades be done. I think that is not an issue. I'm interested in engaging our students with learning. What we're trying to do is mitigate any loss of learning that would happen, because we're looking at, we've already been out a few weeks and we're looking at more weeks, and so what we want to do is make sure that learning is lost. Fortunately, because of the way we have our scope and sequence, which is kind of how we lay out the standards, a lot of the new learning had already been done. So now it's a matter of making sure with the reading, with the talking, just conversing, playing games with children, that makes a lot of difference. So no, that time will not have to be made up.
Okay. It's important for everyone to know, we've talked about this a couple of times, but several of your internet providers are providing free internet. So Comcast, if there's an Xfinity hotspot that's close to your home, if you don't have internet, you can access that Xfinity service, or AT&T, United, whatever that is close to you. So that's something that all of those individuals have put into place. Something that we haven't talked about that we have put in place is to make sure that Murfreesboro Electric, Murfreesboro Water and Sewer, Middle Tennessee Electric, Consolidated Utility District are not cutting off anyone's bills. That's not to say don't pay your bills. You need to pay your bills, but if something happens, we're not going to do that right now. So
Which is great. And we will be doing an all-call probably midweek next week, maybe the end of this week, but I think we're going to wait till midweek next week, and talking with parents about how they can get instructional materials, and because we want to make sure that all of our boys and girls have what they need to continue learning.
Okay. That's all the questions that we've gotten. I did have one question about Rockville Middle. Rockville Middle is a county school, so
Right.
that's not a city school. And I'm scrolling back through here. We appreciate all the nice comments. The last thing I really want to say, and Dr. Gilbert, I think you would agree with this, but I try to go back and read all the comments from some of these. You know, our first one that we did, we've had almost 45,000 people who watched that first video, which makes me feel good that, you know, doing these, it's getting information out, that people are watching these, and this gives the ability to be able to educate our citizenry, to let them know what's going on. But there was a comment the other night that was made. I made a comment that I got off social media for a time, and someone made a comment that it was because of negative comments, and, you know, that didn't have anything to do with it. I would submit to you that you want to make sure that you have leaders in place that are not going to be influenced by, you know, positive or negative comments, that we want to make sure that we surround ourselves with good people like you that advise us to make sure that we make decisions that are in the best interest of our community. But, you know, with that, I thought it would be good to really, I want to explain why I got off social media, because I find myself over these past couple of weeks dealing with the same thing that I dealt with many, many months ago. And I found myself not engaging with my family, with my kids, with my wife, because I'm too busy with my nose stuck in my phone. And I'm too busy scrolling to try to figure out what's going on what someone's posting. And, you know, I think if anything, from my standpoint, to relay back, now is the time that we need to be able to take the time to learn something, to be able to read, to be able to set the examples for our kids that there's more than just having our thumbs scrolling through our phones. And that's something I'm struggling with right now. I'm scared to death that I'm going to miss something. So, what I wanted to relay back to our residents is take the time with your families that you're at home. Take the time, if you're there by yourself, to do something you've wanted to do but you've not had the opportunity or time to do. I had someone who told me that they were taking an Excel class that they wanted to be able to take, or they were going to learn a second language, while they have this time. So I want to encourage you as residents to not necessarily succumb to the fear that you see out there on social media or whatever it is, but we're going to do our best to keep you educated on what's going on. We're going to do our best to make sure you know what's happening inside your city. And, the last thing I'd say, and I preach this to my boys, and I know from an educator that, our attitude is a reflection of the aroma of our heart. And if we don't have our heart in the right spot, then our attitude's not going to be in the right spot. And out of any time that I can remember in this community, I've seen more people come together over the last several weeks that are getting their attitudes in the right spot. So I want to impress on you that as a community, if we get our attitudes in the right spot, there's not anything that we won't be able to do to be able to overcome this. It does no good right now tearing people down. Take the opportunity to be able to lift up your leaders who are in authority to be able to lift up your teachers, your healthcare providers, to be able to lift up your emergency service providers. They need your prayers. They need your thoughts. And, with that, I think we get our attitudes in the right spot. We get our hearts in the right spot. And this community is going to continue to stay strong. So I want to thank City TV3 for giving us this forum. Thank Dr. Gilbert. Let me see, make sure I didn't miss any more comments that I see some coming across now.
Well, let me comment, if I could, about the piece that you mentioned. People ask me how I hire, and I hire for heart. I can teach people how to teach. I can't teach them how to care about children. What I've learned is you can't lead by Facebook. You have to lead from your heart. And so I would encourage people to take time to really look inside and understand that it's about relationships and that we are surrounded by wonderful people. And we need to remember that,
Amen.
that we are surrounded by wonderful people.
Do you expect to put in place a stay-at-home policy or a total shutdown like Franklin? Jason asked that question. I think I addressed that earlier. Jason, we've got essentially a stay-at-home in place right now with the executive order that we put in place on Monday. What I want to tell you is we don't feel like right now, we're still researching it, that we have the legal authority based on our charter to be able to do that. We're still looking at it, but we don't have to put that stay-at-home in place for people to stay at home. One of the worst things I think you can do is to pass something that you can't enforce, and that's one of the things right now that I just want to implore on our residents, and I know the council is consistently working. If you knew how hard that this council is working right now, and we all are saying the same thing. I think Councilman Shacklet had a great line that it's not just stay at home, it's stay at home and stay safe. When you stay at home, you're going to be able to stay safe. Now, that's not to mean that you can't get outside, that you can't spend time, in 80-degree weather tomorrow where you're going to have the sun. I mean, I've talked to several doctors. Dr. Patel was here on Saturday night. Dr. Langworthy is a next-door neighbor of mine, and they all are saying that the sun and the fresh air does us good. And so, having your kids out playing and staying in social distancing, there's not anything wrong with that. So why are the parks still open? I think the parks are still open from the standpoint that I think we will have to address some issues inside the parks. There's several areas in our parks that are closed. All indoor facilities are closed, but our greenways are open, our green spaces are open, and we want to make sure that people need to be smart on social distancing. So that's why our parks are open. Smyrna closed all of their parks. Why doesn't Murfreesboro? I can't speak to Smyrna. I know our golf course has been closed, but again, I think with the amount of density that we have in our city, closing a field, in my opinion, doesn't do much good. We need to be able to provide spaces where people can get out. Sportscom is packed with kids playing soccer. Milton, I'm not sure about that, but I will find out. So, folks, I want to try to keep these at 30 minutes just so we can keep you updated. I'm not going to inundate you with useful or useless information. So I want you to know that we're not going to come to you unless we have information that we can present. So that way, when we do need to come to you, you're not going to tune us out. And that's why I thought it'd be very important for Dr. Gilbert to be here to be able to talk about what we're doing as a school system. So we will keep you updated. We'll keep you updated as we fight through this. So stay strong, stay safe, and wish you nothing but the best, but to make sure that stay at home if you can. So thank you for what you're doing.